Hey, welcome back to the channel. So today I have something a little bit different than usual. I'm gonna try to do two puzzles. They're both 6x6 and fog style puzzles. So should be able to get through them somewhat easy. And I say that because I've tried to do 6x6s previously and I've had some of them stump me, which I don't understand, but it happens. But anyway, I have this one called Mini Fog Sandwich. I have another one here called Misty Miracle. I just had this thing paused so my timer wouldn't keep running off while I had it set up. Um, but going back into this one, I think the way I'm going to just do it is I'm going to read the rules of this one, solve this one, then move to the next one, read the rules and solve it. And I'll put the links to them and the rules to them separately in the description below that you guys can jump on here and try to solve these before I do. But that said, let's get on it. Let's get these rules started and see what happens. So, Mini Fog Sandwich by Tulrak. So this is a 6x6, so place the digits 1 through 6 once each in every row, column, and 2x3 box. The grid is partially covered in fog. Placing correct digits will clear the fog. So if I were to figure out what the heck this cell was, anything around it like this would be cleared of fog, and hopefully there would be a clue that we could then jump on to finish this. Clues outside the grid show the sum of the digits between 1 and 6 in that row. So this is a sandwich style clue. We only have one sandwich clue, so it just means that wherever we have a 1 and a 6, the digits in between them must add up to 7. Then we have digits in cells separated by V, sum to 5. We do have one showing here, so I can use that as an example. And it does say not all V clues are necessarily given, so there's no negative constraint. It just means that these two digits, when they add together, equal 5. And then our final clue is digits along an arrow sum to the digit in the arrow's circle. So we don't know how far this arrow goes. It might extend, but for example's sake, let's just say that it's a 2-cell arrow with a circle up here. So what would that mean? It would mean that these two, when they're added together, whatever that sum is what this digit is equal to. Now, there is the possibility this thing could extend up here, the arrow could extend up here, and there could be a circle out here. Therefore, it would be these 3 cells, and then whatever they add up to must be what this is, and maybe some other configurations that we're not going to go into with the rule sets just yet. It's something we'll try to figure out when we actually get into our solve, which is what we're going to do right now. So, where is a good place to start? I'm not sure if we're going to have, it's going to be some combination of all of the rule sets to get us away. We have to start over here somewhere because this is the only place we can see at the moment. Now, we do know that this has to be it only has the digits 1 through 6. So what does that mean? Well, I guess first off, the fairly obvious thing is you can't ever put a 6 on a V clue. And you can't ever put a 6 in this instance on an arrow clue. So we put a 6 here, let's say. What do we put here? Well, it would have to be some digit, so 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Now, we've already added up our digits more than can be placed in the Sudoku, so therefore we've broken it. Another way to look at it is we couldn't ever put a 1 in, like a 1, 6 on here in any way, because it would break the 7 sandwich clue. So what it really just says is that this has to be a 6 over here. Now, looking at that 7 clue, that was kind of a little segue, I guess. There has to be some way to separate a 1 and a 6 along this row that isn't going to break this puzzle. Now, let's look at, well, we just kind of stated before, we can't put the 1 and the 6 next to each other, because therefore there's nothing in between them to be able to add up to 7. We can't put a 1 and a 6 one space apart from each other, because the digit in between it would have to be a 7, and we can't put a 7 in the puzzle, it's only the 1 through 6. In this specific instance, we couldn't put a 1 and a 6 here anyway, because you'd be putting something on the arrow that's, again, also not usable. Now, jumping ahead to, let's say, a 3-cell gap between the 1 and the 6 is, again, something we cannot do. Because if we were to put the 1 and the 6 here, these 3 digits would have to add up to 7 without the use of a 1. So therefore, the lowest we could possibly do is 2, 3, 4, which equals 9. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the 1 and the 6 have to be exactly 2 cells apart. That's the only instance in which they work. Now, we know there can't be a 6 here because it would be on our arrow. Can we make any other determinations as to where 6 can't be in this row? Can't be here. It can't be here. The reason that is because we'd either have to put a 1 over here and therefore again have to put a 7 in between them and break the puzzle, or the 1 would have to go over here and these two would have to equal 7. Now, these can't equal 7 because if they did, the circle would have to equal 7. And that's, again, breaking the rules. So none of these can be 6. This can't. Can this be 6? Yes, it can be. Because we could put a 1 here, sorry, and this could be a 6. So we could have a 1-6 pair. These two would equal 7. And the 1 plus something else, and maybe something else would add up to whatever this is. The other place a 6 could probably go is here. Same concept. We could have 1-6 here. These two could equal 7. 1 plus whatever equals whatever is up here somewhere. Well, okay, the easier way, and can this ever actually be a 6? I guess that should have been my first thought when looking at where the 6 could go, but I do things backwards sometimes. That's just the way I am. This can't be a 6 because I have to put a 1 here, and then these would have to equal 7. So therefore, this is not a 6. So this has to be a 6. And we get validation from the board here that tells us that is correct. Now, we know none of these can be 6s. We said this couldn't be 6 because it would break the puzzle in multiple different ways of where we could do it. So one of these has to be a 6. Now, if one of these has to be a 6, one of these has to be a 1. Because, again, in our example, the only two possible ways this was going to work if this was a 1-6 here or if this was a 1-6 here. Now that we've put a 1 here, we can tell what this is. It has to be a 2-3. There's only two ways to make a 5 in a pretty much any Sudoku, except for ones that might have some very odd rule sets, but they can only be 4, 1, or 2, 3, and we've just used the 1 down here, so therefore this must be a 2, 3. Now, what we can actually say, now that we know a 6 is down here, there can't be a 5 on this. Because if there's a 5 on this arrow, this would be 5 and 1, they'd have to equal 6, and this would have to be the circle, because we know it's going up off into this corner here. So that doesn't work. So this is a 5, which means these are a 1-4 pair. Let's get rid of that. And actually, now that we know they're a 1-4 pair, we know they must equal 5, because we can't add another digit onto it. Well, no, that's not true. We technically could. If this arrow did this, and then it went back down here, we could have 1-4, 1-6. So that is a possibility. Good thing I didn't fall into that little trap. So we do know there has to be a 5 up here somewhere. In fact, we know what these 3 digits have to be. They have to be from 1, 4, and 5. And these have to be from 2, 3, and 6. That's not 6. Now, that digit, these 2 digits here now, interesting, because I can't rule this out as being a 1, because there's no restriction that digits can't repeat on an arrow cell. So this, well, this can never be a 4, because if this was a 1-4 and this was a 4, first off, 1 and 4 don't add up to 4, and then 1-4 plus 4 would be way above board, so this can't be a 4. So this is either a 5, which is the 1-4 adding up to it, or it's a 1-4 plus a 1, which would equal 6, and then this would have to be the circle of the 6. Now, that's a bit interesting that it didn't get anywhere. What is... Oh, here's something that I just saw. Can this ever be the 6? And the answer is no. If this was a 6, this would have to be the 1, because they have to be 2 apart, and you have a 2, 3 here that only equals 5. It doesn't equal 7. So this can't be 6. This is 6. Okay, so we get some stuff now. We can sort this out. We don't have that limitation now here. This has to be 5, because we just see that the arrow does end. So these are not 5s. This has to be 2. This has to be 3. Therefore, this has to be our 1 because the 6 is here. It has to be 2 away. It has to be 1. That has to be 4. So these do equal 7. We get that. This can't be a 4, because if it was a 4, we'd have 4 plus 3, and we'd already be at 7, and we'd have nothing to place here. So this is 1 and 4. Now, we've uncovered a V clue, and we've uncovered the fact that this arrow is bigger than we thought it might be. Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, it can have other options, because we can always repeat a 1 here. So right at the moment we're at 4. So what can this be? It could be 1 or 2. If it's because we have 4, so it's either 5 or 6 is what our total is going to be at. Now, we can't negate this arrow continuing and then having a circle down here somewhere, because we could always have 1, 3, 1, 1, which would equal 6, and then we'd have to have a 6, a circle somewhere in here that was a 6. But what I guess what we can do is we look down here. The 5 can't be neither 2, and it can't ever be on a V, so one of these is a 5. Neither of these can be 5 or 6. This can't be 5 or 6. This can't be 5 or 6, so these are 5 and 6. And what more? The 6s, we can put one of these as 6. Let's mark that. We cannot determine what this V is just yet, because it could be 1, 4 if 1 and 4 were in this pathway, and it could be 2, 3 if 2 was here and 3 was here. So that's a bit annoying. So how do we move on? Because the only clues we have that are giving us any information are this arrow, but we don't know how it ends, and this V clue, which we don't have quite enough information on. Now, we know this digit is either 1, 2, 3, or 4, but we don't know what it is. So, what can we do? 3. Oh, okay. I see something. This can't be a 2 now. If this is a 3 and a 1, that's 4. If this was 2, it'd have to equal 6. We'd have to put a 6 here. We just said we can't have we already have the 6 up here, so this has to be a 1, which means this has to be a 3, and this has to be a 2. Okay, so we do see that our arrow extends even further. Now, we said previously this could be another 1, and then this 5 or the 6 could be down here somewhere, and that looks like it's the key, or what actually is occurring, because we've got 3, 4, 5 already. We have to add one more digit to something, and then we get a 6. So 6, 5, 6. This has to be a 4, just because it's the only thing left. This is a V clue. You can see part of it, so we know it's a V clue. These have to be from 2 and 3. This has to be a 1. This has to be a 1 just by Sudoku. This has to be either 2 or 3. These have to be 4 or 5. This has to be 2 or 3. So we've got a lot of pairs of 2s and 3s going on. One of these has to be a 4. Since we know this is either a 4 or a 5. It can't be 1, 2, 3, or 6. So this is 4 or 5. And we know there's a 1 here. So this digit is always 1 less than whatever this is. So it has to be either 3 or 4. And that did not get us anything, which is interesting. This is either 5 or 6, and this is either 4 or 6. Let's get rid of these guys. They aren't as confusing and in my face. This has to be from 5 or 6. This has to be from 3, 4, or 5. And these have to be from 2, 4, and 6. Okay. Well, we're kind of out of clues here. I don't see any pairs that are going to tell us what resolves what. So what the heck do we do? Because if we look at our Sudoku, I mean, our ones are done. Twos, there's just tons of options. Threes, there's tons of options. Fours, there's too much out there to determine. Fives are the same, it looks. And sixes, oh, this can't be a 6. But either one of these two and one of these two could be. So we've got a bunch of like X-wings and pairs. So how the heck do we finish this? Well, is there any combination of what this does that's going to break something else? It's the only thing I can even think of because we've used every other clue. So if this was a 3, this would be a 4, this would be a 5, this would be a 6, 5, 6, these would be a 2-4 pair. I said this would be a 5, right? So this would be a 4 and a 5. The 3 would get me a 2 and a 3. So that would be a 4 and a 2. I don't see how that does anything, or how it might break anything. Let's look at the 4 then, I guess. If this is a 4, this is a 5, this is a 3. We end up with 6 and 5. This is 4. What do we say? This was 4, 3. This would have to be 2. This would be... What did I say, guys? I'm terrible at these memory types of things. This would be 4, 3, 5. This would be 5. We said this would be 2. This would be 6. 3. Wait, did I say this would be 3 and this would be 2? 1, 4, 5, 3. This is 5, this is 6, this is 4. This would have to be 2. So this would be a 3-2 pair, looking at this, which has absolutely no place. So there's no way that works. Let me think about that one last time before I put anything in. I just want to make sure it's correct. If this is a 4, this is a 5, this is a 3. That's a 5, this is a 6 and a 4, this is a 2. So that's a 2-3 pair. That doesn't work. So this has to be 3 and 4 like this, and 5. 6 and 5 and 6 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3. This has to be 4 and 2, and this has to be 5 and 4. Hey, that worked. Okay, so that was the correct solution. Yeah, so that was kind of interesting. It really got down to having to check to see which one of these possible options might cause a problem, and you had to kind of really go down the line to see it. I'm surprised I did, to be honest. Sometimes it is hard for me to visualize some of this stuff without having it directly in front of me. But Mini Fog Sandwich by Tulrak, that was really good. Let's move over to Misty Miracle. We'll resume, and we'll just do a quick restart because I'm at like 15 seconds. You can't see that, but that's all that was up on the thing. Now, Misty Miracle by Phurba. I think that's how you say it. If not, please correct me. Again, this is a Fog of War 6x6. So let's look at our rules. So normal 6x6 rules. So every row, every column, and every 2x3 box contains digits 1 through 6 each. Anti-knight. So cells separated by a knight's movement chest cannot contain the same digit. So if we were to look at this digit, let's call it X. Now the knight moves in this type of L shape. So any of these digits could not be X to go along with just your normal Sudoku rule. So if this was X, none of these could be X. Killer cages. In each cage, digits cannot repeat, and their sum is given by the small number in the top left corner of the leftmost cell in the top row of the cage. Essentially what that means is, since we don't have any full killer cages to do a reference on, let's just say that this thing is a 3-cell cage, and it will have some digit up in the top left corner. It's always the top left. That's how killer cages work, and that's what it specifically states in the rules. So whatever the clue in the top left corner is, these 3 digits would have to add up to that value. Same would go if this was only a 2-cell. I'm not gonna. Does it say if given? No, it does not say if given. So there should essentially be a value in the top left corner of all of these. So whatever these happen to be, there will be a value that can be given, and then you can deduce what that is. I won't get into further of that because that seems like it's something that's going to come down to our actual solve. Now we've got crop key pairs, digits separated by a black dot or a 2-to-1 ratio. Digits separated by a white dot are consecutive. Not all dots are necessarily given. Now we have a couple black dots poking out that we can use as examples. So if this is x, this is either x over 2 or 2x. So whatever this digit is, this is either half or double it. Same would go over here. Now we don't have any white dots at the moment showing, but let's just assume this was a white dot as well for an example. So whatever this digit is, this one would have to be consecutive, i.e. it's 1 higher or 1 lower than it. That's what those require. Excuse me. And our final clue here, or rule set, is fog of 4, of course. So if the grid is partially covered in fog, correctly placing digits will clear the fog around that cell. No guessing is required. So if I were to somehow determine what this digit was, all of these areas would clear a fog, and then we'd hopefully have new information and new clues to be able to continue with the puzzle. And so that is the rule sets to Misty Miracle by Phurba, and let's get on it. So, crop key dots, especially when they're black crop key dots, do have limitations, and they have further limitation since this is a 6x6 Sudoku. So normally a black crop key dot can only be 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 6, or 4, 8. That's only 4 possibilities. They can't ever have 5, 7, or 9 because none of those digits in a normal Sudoku can be halved or doubled and create a valid Sudoku digit. Now, in this specific case, since this is 6x6, we can rule out the 4, 8 combination because we can never use an 8 in this grid. It just doesn't happen. So what we know of our crop key dots is that any of these black dots that we see, and if there's maybe more of them there, must be either from 1, 2, 2, 4, or 3, 6. Now, I don't think we can do anything with that. And furthermore, what I was avoiding from saying in terms of our killer cages is, as you can see, there are no values given in what in the current appearance of this is a top left corner of a cage. Well, if there's nothing there and it doesn't say that if given in the top left corner, it says is given by a small number in the top left corner. What we know is these are not the top left corners of these cages. They must somehow extend and get back up to some place higher than these. Now, in this instance, it looks like we can never continue downward because there'd be no way to get back up. So we might have to start drawing in what we think these things are actually going to do. Because, like we said, we know this can't continue down, because if it did, it would run into a dead end, and there would have to be a clue up here on the top, and there isn't. So therefore, it has to turn. Now, it can't turn down, because we've got the edge of a cage here, and this is most likely, yeah, it would have to be its own cage separate from this, because we can't go down this way with this cage. If we did, there wouldn't be a cage here, a symbol for the edge of a cage here. And now that we know, because of that, we know we're moving across the top of it. If they were connected, there wouldn't be a symbol for a cage here. Now, we also know that we can't turn up like this for the same reason, because if this is all one cage, there wouldn't be any cage cells here. So we know we, at the very least, we have to continue to here. And, well, we don't know what the clues in the top left corners of these things are going to be. They could be a lot of things. Like, it's possible we could have something that goes, just goes around and around and around. It's possible that these could connect and it could be something like that. I don't know. And there could have like a 30-something clue in the top corner. We just do not know that. So maybe we need to look at these guys in combination, because I can't say, like I said, I can't say that this doesn't do this. I can't say that it doesn't come up here somehow, because it could do this and could turn off, or it could just stay here, and this could be the top left corner, and this cage could have its own separate entity that goes around it. So I don't know any of that, but I do know that this cannot go this way, because again, like we said here, if it went this way, it would have to start going back up to be able to get to a top left corner. Now, you could say, oh, well, it can just do that. This would be the top left corner. But again, we have this marker here that says this is the edge of the cage on that side. So this never goes that way. It must go this way. Again, this marker here shows us it cannot go up here, so it has to continue. And it's going to have to find some way of getting back up. How? Oh, didn't mean to do that. Let's switch over to this then. How can we figure out what that is, or which either one of these could be? That's a good question, and I don't know if I know the answer to it. What we do know is that digits in these cages do not repeat. Is that useful? Well, I guess it is, because it has to be useful. Because we could, looking at that again, this notion that we could do something like this doesn't make any sense, that we think about it in the concept of digits repeating within a cage. The most cells you could ever possibly have in a cage in this puzzle are 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's it. If we were to connect any of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just to get up to it, doesn't work. Now, in this instance, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4 already. We have to get up above this area here to be able to have a valid cage. So we can't dawdle anymore, because we only have 2 spaces left we can do. So we're going to just have to do that. I don't see how there's anything else that can happen. I'm going to draw this in, well, let's do a different color for these other ones, just so we're very clear that they are separate clues. So we know this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is it. And the clue that's in the top left corner of this thing is going to be what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is, which is 21. I know, it's amazing I can do math quickly sometimes, especially when they're simple numbers. What does that mean? I don't know that it means a whole lot in that instance. Now, we could probably have the same situation here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. We cannot dawdle. We only have 2 more cells to go, and we have to get up above here, because we can't stay level with it, because otherwise this would be the top left corner. So we have to do that. Again, we are into 6 full cages, or 6 cell cages, so they are full. Now, we don't know anything else about this cage at the moment, because this could very well be a clue right here, and this could just be a 3-cell cage. We don't know. So what can we say? Maybe we can start determining what this digit is. Because we know it's not part of this cage, it must be this digit, whatever this digit is. So what does that mean? So we know we have the digits 1 through 6 in this cage, in some order, some shape or order. We don't know what they are. Now, these 5 digits cannot repeat. First off, because they're in the same cage, and secondly, because they're in the same region. So therefore, the digit that is left over, which is this, and we'll color it green, cannot be in any of these areas within this region. So therefore, it must be here, because that's the only thing left over. Now, if we look at Sudoku, we have a knight's move incidence or rule set where this green is going to see this one. So this one has to be green as well. Now, we know these have to all be one of each of the 6 digits. This green guy right here, this value, sees all of these. Excuse me. So we know one of these two has to be a green digit. Well, this one and this one both see this one, so this ends up being green. Now we can say these are not green. That's not green because this one sees it by knight's move, so this is green. None of these are green. We can't tell which one of these is... Oh, we can because there's a green here. Sorry, I missed that. So this is green. Okay, so now we know what the green cells are. I honestly wasn't expecting to be coloring in this when I first started reading the rules of this puzzle, but this seems to be doing something. Now, what else do we know? These have to be all of the digits 1 through 6. So therefore, these 2 digits, whatever they are, have to match up with some way with this. Is that the path we want to take here? We know these 3 digits are what they are. This one matches up with this one. So therefore, these 2 must match up with these 2. Let's just give them a little flair at the moment. Whatever these 2 are, these 2 must be the same. Because they're the only ones that are not in the same region and that don't match up with the green, which is already there. But I don't know if this one matches with this one or if this one matches with this one. Now, can we do anything else along these lines? Like now that we know there's a green, can we say anything about maybe this digit? Because we know it can't be any of these. It can't be any of these or those. I don't really see anything there. Is there something that sees a lot of things? Like this digit can't be any of these or this one. Okay, yeah, this digit right here. Sees these in Sudoku, sees this in knight's move, sees this in knight's move, sees the green, so it can't be green, so that's not green. So these 2 are the same digit. Okay, that's something. Now, none of these can be that, but either one of these could still be a blue. How about this one here? It can't be any of these, so it must be one of these purples. I don't know which one. And, well, this one and this one have to be the same digit. No, is that correct? No. Let's stop and think about that for a second again. Whatever this digit is, it can't be any of these, so it has to be one of the purples. So therefore, it has to match up with one of these 2, and it can't match up with this one. So this one and this one have to be the same. How do I want to mark this? We'll make it orange. This is actually purple. And these will be an orange-purple combo. Okay. That seems to make sense. Now, we need to try to differentiate purple. We know none of these can be purple. but either of these could be purple. Now, if either of these is purple, we know it's an X-wing of purple, so none of these can be purple. And this can't be purple because it sees both of them, so this is purple. Okay. But now, I don't think we can deal with blues much more. We just know that none of these are. We've got these two digits that are left over. They have to be their own special values. So one is red, one is, well, gray is hard to use, so let's use yellow. None of these can be red, so this is a purple-red combo, which means this has to be yellow, and this has to be yellow. Yellow, not red. No, get away, dummy. None of these are yellow, and that's not yellow. What happened? My mouse just died. Hold on a second. Hello? There we go. I don't know what the heck happened. My mouse just died. What was I saying? Yellow. Cannot be any of these, so this has to be yellow. None of... Okay, hold on. I gotta find a battery. Luckily, I keep them nearby. Always fun, isn't it? Which that's... But this is... Okay. Apologies for that little interlude. Hey, we've got a working mouse again. Nice. Okay, let's get back to it. These are not yellow, so this is yellow. None of these are yellow. That's not yellow. This is yellow. Now, can we... And honestly, at the end of it, I don't know where this is taking me, but it's getting me something at least. We know this now has to be red. This has to be blue. This has to be orange. This has to be red. This has to be blue. This has to be... Why do I keep missing purple? This has to be purple. This one has to be orange. These have to be from blue, and this is blue then, and this is red. This has to be blue. These have to be from red and orange. And neither one is seen. Okay, so we've determined something. What it's doing for us, I'm not entirely sure. But we have determined that all of these digits are what they are. And they are, if we can figure out how to match them up, it's going to give us some information that maybe we can use to differentiate. And it seems like the only thing that I can see that would help us figure out what digits are what could be our crop key dots. Now, we know that this black crop key dot is a blue-purple combination. So that's what's going to tell us that this isn't purple. That's good. Because they have to be the same. If the blue-purple is going to be a blue-purple. If blue is 1 and that's 2, they are 1 and 2. 2... Ooh, that's not true. Forget I said that. If this is 1 and this was 2, let's say, this could be 2 and this could be 4. Okay. Missed it, or dodged a little bullet there. Now, what we can say is that these are not 3-6, because that same instance could not apply down here. If this is a 3-6, this has to be a 3-6. These would have to be the same colors, and they are not. So this is from 1, 2, and 4, and we have to have a 2 in one of them. And purple can never be 1. Well, that's not, again, not quite true. If this was purple, it couldn't be 1 because it would have to be attached to the 2. Now, can we say if purple was 4, it would be the same situation if this was a purple. And I don't think I can make that determination. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to check real quick again to make sure I couldn't finish my coloring because that would blow it wide open. If this was a purple, the only thing it could ever be is a 2 because they would have 2 different digits attached to it that works with a black crappy dot. So this could never be 1 or 4, but that doesn't rule out the fact that this could be 1 or 4, and this could be the red that goes with an orange or a yellow, and that could be a 3-6. Okay. So we've got either blue or purple are a 2. Well, there's a purple. Does it say not all block dots are given? Not all dots are necessarily given, so we can't use a negative constraint. Okay, so my little bag of tricks is dwindling. We've got, what else can we do? We know that these all combined must equal 21. But how the heck do we figure out how they work together? That's a good question. Now, the only thing we can rule out on a black crappy dot in this instance, because 7 and 9 are not usable as a 5. So we know purple, blue, and yellow are definitely not 5, which means it has to be either green, orange, or red. Does that do anything for us? Green, orange, or red has to be 5. That is interesting. Gesundheit to my wife who just sneezed in the background. And I do not see how I can differentiate these last remaining bits of color either. So if one of these is 2, it means one of these is 2. It means one of these is 2. It means either one of these or one of these is 2. I'm just trying to use any bit of information I have to determine how the heck to break these apart. And I'm not quite seeing it just yet. Well, I thought this might end up happening, where we get stuck on one of them. What am I missing here? Can we rule out possibilities of other digits on these guys? Like I said, if one of them is a 1, or if one of them is a 4, I don't know. And there goes the dog barking outside. Just wonderful distractions. I don't see it. What the heck do I do to make this differentiation? I don't know. Because I can't figure, I don't think I can do anything further with this. Because I can't see what's in here. This thing could continue all the way like that. I have no idea. Well, I guess it can't, can it? Because we can't repeat digits, so it can't have both of these in it. And we know, oh, that's what it is. It's a repetition of digits in this. This can't be read because it would repeat digit. Okay, I was making it more difficult than it needed to be. So now we can figure out what these are, and then we're going to be able to break this open. Okay, here we go. Apologies for that delay. Probably should have figured that out about 10 minutes ago. Now, what would you say about the purple? It can never be a 1 or a 4. Now we can say that's absolutely accurate, because if it was a 1 or a 4, this would have to be a 2, and this would have to be a 2, and that breaks. So therefore, the purple is the 2. And everything opens up. I'm going to start removing colors as we go too, because it's very hard to see what's actually going on under here. We know the blue is no longer a 2, so let's get rid of the markers there. Get rid of this as a possibility of a 2. Now, we have a 3-cell 9 cage. We must have a 1 in it somewhere, because the only way to make a 3-cell 9 cage not have a 1 in it is if it was 2, 3, 4, and we can't use a 2 because we just shown where all the 2s go. Oh, what we did see, and it's hard to see because once again all the coloring, these have to be consecutive digits. So this one, well, let's just write this. This is 1 or 4, so the blues and the yellows, let's do that real quick, are the 1, 4 pairs, because that's all that can go with a 2 on a black Kropke dot. Now we've got the consecutive digits here. This cannot be, wait, how does that work? This isn't right. That can't be right. The 2 is correct. Let's step back a second. The only thing that goes with a 2 is a 1 or a 4, and these both have to be different, because these can't be the same digit, because they're different colors. So these would be 1, 4 pairs. But that seems to be breaking my puzzle, because it's either 1, 2, or it's 2, 4. But the problem is I now have a Kropke dot here that means I need to have consecutive digits, but I can never put any consecutive digits on these two. Now that we have this situation going, because I can't do 1, 2, it's not possible. Can't do 2, 3, not possible. Can't do 3, 4, it's not possible. Can't do 4, 5. Oh, 5, 6. I'm an idiot. I can't count. It didn't break the puzzle. Oof, my levels of stupidity are massive sometimes. I just miss the obvious. This has to be a 3. Let's get rid of that color. And now, what was what? So we've got 5s and 6s. How can we? So we've got a 3 here. This can't be a 4, because therefore it would have to be 2, 3, 4. So the blues are all the 1s. Let's get those in. Let's get rid of our blue. We now know that this is 3, 1, so this has to be 5, so our reds are our 5s. And we'll get rid of that coloring. Our yellows have to be our 4s, so we'll pop those in and get rid of the color. and our greens must be 6, and I'm going to get rid of the color first and then hit it, and there you go. You solved the puzzle. Solution is correct. That took longer than it should have, only because I didn't recognize this killer cage was forcing this to not be a specific color because it would have repeated. So that's all it really took me. And plus a little bit of blindness along the way as well. So I think those both went fairly well. The latter one, obviously, it took me a little bit more brain power than it should have required, but both of these were excellent puzzles, 6x6s, and it goes to show that 6x6s, while they look like they're quite easy just off the bat because they're smaller than typical 9x9s, they can still give you trouble. And it doesn't hurt to take a look at them and try to and just test yourself if they're going to work or not. So, Phurba and Tulrak, thank you very much for these puzzles. I certainly enjoyed them. I hope you all did as well, and I'll check you out next one. Thanks. Bye.